What was that?
It's perfect.
You want to see that guy? Wow. Now let's let everybody else in since they were late.
Wow.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to DC TV. It is Friday, December 16th, 2022. We don't have Jaime in Tampa. Maybe Tampa will show up. She said that she's in the middle of traveling, so it was a maybe for her. But they're both traveling. Obviously, it's the holidays. Everybody's moving around all over the place. But we got Brandon. We got At The Real Data Lord, as well as the Don Fran Show here this morning. Fellas, what's going on?
I just woke up. So
Gangster, dude. Most wonderful time of the year.
Looking at
It's worth though. A wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
yeah.
that's exactly how I'm here today, right?
I'm Gandalf. Yeah.
That's fate. I don't have a wizard name, but
Whatever helps you sleep at night, fellas.
yeah.
It's more like Boromir.
Looking at the exchanges right now, the S&P futures are down at 1%. Dow's down 1.1%. Nasdaq is down another 0.5% as well. Crude oil sitting at $74 a barrel. And then looking at Bitcoin, that's also down, and that's kind of what the title of of today's video and a little bit of what we're going to be discussing this morning. But Bitcoin's down back below 17,000. It's at 16,969. Ayo.
Yeah.
Pause. 16,969. I'll say it again. It is down 559 points this morning. Fellas, I know that Don on his channel touched on this a little bit last night on his YouTube about the markets, but this is obviously translating over into Bitcoin as well. But the Fed raising rates and not really backing off of that going into next year has a lot of people worried about recession, and so it's bringing a lot of things down as far as the markets are concerned. And so Bitcoin is, of course, included in that as well. That is the catalyst as to why it's coming down. I was hoping, Don, if you wouldn't mind perhaps pulling up the charts and kind of giving your perspective on Bitcoin and what's going on there and what levels we're looking at potentially.
Yeah, give me one second.
And so, yeah.
Let me switch monitors so I don't look at the ceiling the whole time.
It's healthy to have fluctuating weight. I reassure you.
Like a yo-yo diet?
Well, it's true of the markets too. Only up is not healthy.
It's healthy for your wallet.
Well, until you realize it's
I'll never actually just say, yeah, let's just send it up. Right now, I'm
only up.
Down. Let's go. As far as levels go, this has been very quiet.
Yeah.
Kind of still watching these same zones. I still expect to find some sellers up here, buyers up here. And we drew this level last time we were melting off like this, and we just barely touched it and popped. So I would still expect to find some buyers here. We've heard Jaime talk about this quite a bit. I've seen some reports about margin calls below 15. So if that were to happen, I'm very curious just how quick we go from here to here. Like, does it look like this? Do we mosey our way on down? Or because if people start getting margin called and they can't cover it and they got to sell, that's going to be just quite a bit more. And you kind of find out where everyone's choke point is at. And you know how many people are hitting the sell button right now is a lot easier in this market than it was last year.
Yeah.
Last year, everyone was buying the dip. This year, all anyone has heard is things are going down. Things are going down. And they might think 10 is not the bottom. Well, it might not be, but you know, each one of these is going to just be, each one of these is someone else just giving up. Someone finally said, okay, if this holds here, I'll hold on. If this breaks, I'm selling. Everyone right now in crypto is just the hold gang. But every one of those people has a point where they will sell. Very few will just rock that thing to zero. So I'm curious where everyone's choke point is at. I don't have any fancy EMAs or anything like that, but well, we can pull some up. Which one does Jaime usually have?
He usually has the fibs, the Fibonacci's.
Oh, Fibonacci lines. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. There's not EMAs.
Let's do the 100. So we almost bounced off that. I can edit that, make it look like we bounced.
And then he usually goes off of the 3-day and the monthly charts. But while you're doing that, yeah, I mean, I think I'm looking at that bottom zone there. It looks as if that 13,800 mark certainly seems like it's potentially still in the cards there. But then also, that 16K kind of seems to be the most recent bottom that's actually held as support for the most part. We've seen a couple of dips below that, but it's really kind of held that area fairly well.
You're talking about this right here?
Yeah, the initial 13,008, yeah.
Okay. So what? Just old resistance, new support style? Support resistance? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a
substitute teacher Don Francho. He's a good sub, isn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't have the Latin flair, though. So.
Is that right?
Yeah, I really don't. Watch that area.
So anyways, as you're pulling that up, Don, those are kind of what's going on with Bitcoin and why we're seeing this a little bit of a move down. The catalyst here is the Fed, unfortunately, and what we're seeing from the overall markets, and investors are just spooked. They're spooked about 2023 and a potential recession that is coming here, and so lots of people are speculating here. There's actually two sides of this story now. It used to be that everybody was kind of in the camp of the Fed that we needed to raise rates, but now you're starting to hear more chatter about the Fed going too far now. And so that's what's kind of got investors spooked as well, that the Fed is continuing to raise rates, and they're eventually going to get to a point to where they're going to have to go right back and start cutting them again without just letting them sit there and do nothing. And so we've heard from Jeremy Siegel on this. I've talked about it a little bit within my community about his thoughts on, the significant drop in inflation, particularly with housing, and that even though it's a tight labor market, wages still haven't even become close to catching up with inflation. So that also creates problems, and raising interest rates makes that even worse. So there are arguments that some investors are making that the Fed's going too far. First, they didn't do enough to raise rates fast enough as inflation was rising, and now they're kind of going in the opposite direction. And we'll see how it all shakes out. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting 2023 to see how things react.
I don't think people should panic, though. Like we shut down large portions of the global economy for 2 years. Like if you do that, yeah, there's going to be ramifications. Like it's going to affect your markets, and at some point, like levers have to be pulled to start realizing that it happened, and not just pretending it didn't with credit cards. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I think it's healthy. If anything, it should make people more financially conservative, though, and that means more into investing in the long run, but certainly waiting for those entry points, because we're going to have them. Keep in mind that one Bitcoin being mined with the newest equipment at 6 cents per kilowatt hour, which is average, puts one Bitcoin's cost between $3,500 and $4,000. So when there's once we hit the halving, it'll be double that. And so that's where I think like the absolute floor of Bitcoin actually is. I don't think we'll necessarily hit there, because people are trying to fill bags pretty quick, especially knowing that we have a halving coming not too far from now. So
right, that's going to be in 24 though, correct?
I can find the exact date. It's like August. But you keep that in mind, though, that like that's what's under the hood here, right? Like people who are mining Bitcoin at scale have a number that they start once it right now, if it goes under like $4,000, right, they're floating with their own wallet, right? Like they're not able to sell coin as they go and pay electricity at that point, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the important part to remember. That's their break even, is about 3,500 to 4,000, depending on nuance.
That's the break even is the price of Bitcoin's at 3,500 to 4,000. Is that what you're saying?
That's how much it costs from an electricity standpoint. Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. So there's still plenty that this can move down. It looks like you have the dollar pulled up there, Don.
This is actually the Dow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the just the markets in general. I don't think I think this will be the closest thing to a soft landing we get. But again, just talking about crypto and everything, like what this shows off is if the market's down, people's disposable income is down, and right now that's what a lot of people are buying crypto with. So just that in general, but I don't think the Feds are going to send us into a deep depression like some of these people are thinking about. I actually think they did I think they did a decent job as far as they could have just cranked it and then held it. We do have a lot of lagging indicators, and I actually not to defend Powell or all the actions that have happened. The dialing it back and like pausing it for a little bit and let the indicators catching up. I think this will be the closest thing to a soft landing we've ever had, but the Feds have also never had a soft landing. They've talked about it quite a few times. They've never had one. We've just crashed every time. But I don't know. I'm not as panicky as some of the these bank articles are coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to get you to spaz.
Yeah. We can pull up the dollar.
They want you to poop your pants so they can buy it.
Yeah, so
pants.
Just to confirm, Bitcoin halving is going to take place on March 22nd of 2024.
Yep. 1 year, 97 days.
There you go.
This is an important. I like this comment. There we go. Break even depends on location and electricity costs. Some can't break even at 10K. So
that plays a factor.
You're not an enterprise Bitcoin mining operation if that's true.
Correct.
Or you are and you don't know what you're doing. So
yeah, because I mean, if you're that's the difficult part, because if you're trying to mine Bitcoin as at a residence, for example, you're going to spend a lot more doing it rather than trying to do it commercially. Commercially, you can get, what was it, Brandon? Somewhere around
under 6 cents.
Yeah, per kilowatt hour.
6 cents is like dummy standard. Like you're not impressing anybody with 6 cents.
Right. Yeah. So
that's like, I have a Toyota Corolla. It's like, I bet you do. That's a very common car.
Right. Right, exactly. So, okay, good stuff. So moving on, I wanted to get into today's WTF news of the day. Before I do, make sure that you guys are hitting that subscribe button, hit the notification bell below, and also make sure you're joining our Discord. The link is in the description. It's absolutely free to join if you want to continue some of the conversations that we're having. The WTF news of the day is just ahead. Before I let you guys know what that is, we do have some interesting conversations that we're going to be having on the other side of that, which involve Kevin O'Leary kind of coming to the defense of SBF, which is a bit bizarre, if you ask me. And so I want to be able to have a good conversation on that. And then also we're going to be talking about $100 million Bitcoin, or $100 million pump and dump scheme, not related to cryptocurrency. And it just goes to further prove that, scams can happen everywhere. The spotlight right now obviously is on cryptocurrency itself, but it's still happening in the world of traditional finance too. We're going to talk about that as well. So make sure you guys are staying tuned. Before we get into any of that, guys, I got to show you what's going on with this guy right here. Last time I told you that last show I mentioned about the Guinness Book of World Records. There's the top 10 weird ones. This is another one. So a 20-year-old, this guy's 20 years old. He has been dubbed the shortest man living by Guinness World Records after his height was confirmed at 2 feet and 1.6 inches. This is Ashton. I'm not even gonna pretend to pronounce his name correctly, but he's from a village in Bukhan County, Iran. He's in West Azerbaijan. Province, and he was found to be 2.7 inches shorter than the previous shortest man living, which was a 36-year-old Colombian man, Edward Nino Hernandez. That's a much easier name to pronounce. He says that I know the tallest man living in the world is who the tallest man living in the world is. I might fit in the palms of his hands, which is pretty crazy. It doesn't say that there's any kind of condition that he has, but I imagine that like there's something.
Looks like dwarfism.
Yeah. So, but yeah, 2 feet tall, full blown adult, 2 feet tall.
But a very happy little smile there.
Yeah, he looks pretty chill.
Did you want him to be mad taking the picture?
I don't know.
Well, you know, I he's just the bow tie with that smile looks like he won an award, and here we are. He did.
I know. Diego is asking why are we talking about this? Once a show, we always have the WTF news of the day. So we always just come up with a weird topic to chat about. So that's what's going on this morning. If you're new to the show, we just always have like one icebreaker in the middle of the show. Just say, hey, what the fuck? It makes you ask what the fuck. Actually, Diego, thanks for actually participating in the WTF news of the day.
There's a lot of times where WTF events are crypto related, so I reassure you.
Sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we're talking about blowing peas. So
yeah, that's
right.
Brad. On my channel, that was definitely
that's what we talked about on Wednesday.
My wife, she came up to me. She's like, when I was a kid, I would spitball peas across the lunchroom, and I got put in timeout for it. So,
well, and you see, if she would have stuck with it, she could have ended up on the Guinness Book of World Records.
Right. I know.
I don't know why that reminded me. The only time I've ever like thrown food, it was on accident. Remember those stupid cups of ice cream? You get that little dumb wooden spoon on top.
Yeah,
Oh, sure.
I'm like just cranking on this ice cream, trying to get it out, and it just flicks. And I probably would have set a record, and I nailed this. Probably just the iconic just bully of the school, just right in the back of the head. I'm just like, oh god, turned into an argument, but.
And then Matilda stood up on the table and started getting all the kids to chant.
Do the hang time. This thing was in the air for a while. I mean, he's 6 tables away, and I nailed it with ice cream. And I was like, God, I couldn't hit that if I tried.
That's hysterical.
Bruce.
That's hilarious. Lord Fenner says that's what happens when they start shut down on coal. I've been told it will come down when Duke gets all their solar farms completed, but I'm not holding my breath, referring to the energy cost side of things. So yeah,
before we jump off energy costs, let's put this out here on the internet now, because we're a decade away as far as fusion is concerned. Everyone's excited about fusion because we got it now. Does anybody actually think rates are going to go down, or they're just going to burn less coal, have a whole lot of energy, and overhead's going to be a whole lot cheaper now, and you're going to pay the same?
If you were actually asking me, I think we're going to see more privatization. And
yes,
the more privatization we have, the more opportunities we have to deviate the norm. But the more government regulation we have, the more normalization we'll have of removing your wealth and value.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Let us know what you guys think.
If you like to be poor.
What's that?
If you like to be poor, you know.
Right. All right. So, good stuff, guys. Thanks so much for that this morning. We're going to get into the next topic here. Make sure you're hitting that like button, hit the subscribe. I feel like our vibe is just off. We gotta wake up here a little bit. I know Don just woke up.
My vibe's off. I'm vibing.
But we're gonna get into this next topic, which probably will get some of us fired up here, which is going to be about Kevin O'Leary. So if you guys don't know Kevin O'Leary, he's a famous investor of many things, but he's most notably probably known for an investor on Shark Tank.
Yeah, he feeds sharks.
Yeah, he's on many other things, just kind of a celebrity investor. But he was in bed with FTX pretty heavily. $15 million. What's that?
I said quite literally, or was he not part of that?
I mean, he might have been. I don't know. They had each other's phone numbers between him and SBF,
Yeah.
So you never know.
It's starting to look like they might have been.
SBF might have been lotioning his scalp. You never know.
It's potentially
with this.
He's a scalp guy.
So I wanted to share just a quick video about what he had to say during the congressional hearings that took place. He actually participated in this and blamed everything on Binance and CZ, which I found very interesting, and kind of really overlooked and didn't really acknowledge that SBF or FTX, for that matter, was engaging in any kind of fraud. So take a look at this.
Leave my sweetheart out of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's mind blowing. So take a listen. Oh, maybe.
These two behemoths that own the unregulated market together and grew these incredible businesses in terms of growth were at war with each other. And one put the other out of business intentionally. Now, maybe there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe there's nothing wrong with love and war. But Binance is a massive, unregulated global monopoly now. They put FTX out of business. Now, lots of other reasons, I'm sure, but that's my personal opinion. That is what Sam Bankman-Fried told me in terms of where the assets went.
So this is something that I found interesting. The comments that he had made on this, and he to kind of finish out that story, he put into context that he was just going off of what Sam Bankman-Fried had mentioned. But to me, it's like, open your eyes, dude. Like John Ray III, the current CEO, who has overseen many other bankruptcies and fraud cases such as Enron, talked about how this was an unsophisticated, tale as old as time embezzlement story. It is blatantly obvious what took place here, and Kevin just failed to acknowledge any of that. And to me, this isn't. Binance didn't put them out of business. Binance just revealed what was already going on, and they were going to go bankrupt no matter what. At some point, this wasn't an FTX this wasn't a Binance going after FTX. This is Binance covering their own ass, in my opinion, and getting out before they were the last ones caught with a rotten egg.
There's no scandal there. Also, his statements are patently false. Let's go through this. They have a monopoly. Yeah, they have a monopoly along with Coinbase, Kraken, KuCoin, Bitstamp, Bitfinex, OKK, Gate.io. Like, I can keep going. We have a lot of exchanges. I don't know where this monopoly is coming from, but is Binance huge? Yeah, they're huge. But they also execute the entire ecosystem quite well. And so, if anything, it's like an encouragement to Kraken and Coinbase and the rest of the gang to step up their game, maybe, and do what they can to actually provide similar value. So it's not a monopoly. That even that. Unregulated exchanges, where's he coming from saying the exchanges are unregulated? Like, they have all kinds of KYC and regulation, and the fact that Binance is now coming up with this whole big demand of every exchange should show proof of funds, like I think, or proof of reserves. I think that's important. That's going to become a pattern. I think we'll actually see the majority of exchanges start to actually do that once they can. I think there's probably going to be a little scrambling for some of them to be like, oh crap, we probably should make sure we actually have one-to-one if they don't, but that's fine. If anything, that just puts the onus on them. That being said, too, we also have an event in the cryptocurrency community that every January people do proof of keys, meaning everybody pulls their money off of the exchanges just to make sure that they can.
Right.
That also tends to cause a dip in the cryptocurrency prices on the exchanges because people are just moving their money off the volume drops.
Any comments, Don?
Well, there's so many monopolies out there that just even bringing that angle is kind of weird. It sounds like he's just trying to shift blame and get it off. Because right now, FTX just has all the heat. I just don't know if that was just a waste of time even bringing that up or not, because that's like blaming the car for weighing too much when the chain snaps. When the chain was just a shitty chain. Who are you really trying to blame here when it comes to that? That was just
he took a ton of money from them, and he's trying to kiss their butt and make them look good, so he doesn't look super stupid.
$15 million to be exact.
Without playing, can you bring up that frame again of Kevin O'Leary and the lady?
Melissa Lee.
Don't click play. Just bring it up on screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Because does that not look like a kid that just told his teacher He's not feeling good. He wants to go home. And the teacher's just looking down in disappointment. Like, you just got home. You just got inside from recess. Like, no. Like, I just want to screenshot that.
His whole job is to do due diligence too. As an investor, your job is to like deeply look into the companies you're investing in. Like the fact that Binance barely even did a half-assed audit and was like, nope on a rope, we're not doing that. Like just demonstrates Kevin O'Leary didn't do that. He's like 15 million. Yeah, that sounds good. Just for saying, hey, you should do this a few times. That's fine.
Yeah, I think the comment we had up there, it's a control of the narrative kind of thing, trying to shift it. Because how can you let this guy go or have it any easy or get control if everyone's still, that man's a fraud, put him in jail.
But all that does is just, it makes Kevin O'Leary look bad, right? Like he's just making himself look like an absolute shill. And to me, it's like, I actually looked up to Kevin O'Leary. I had a lot of respect for him. And this is just a moment in time in which I just do not. To me, this is just like, I really am scratching my head at this because
that's to you. Some people aren't. Some people will just gobble it up. Some people are just unbecoming. They can't think for themselves. They will hear that and think, okay, so that's a new problem. Let's go after Binance. Binance still has money. So it'd be easy to hate them too. Like, I'm going to get my money back from Binance. Binance should pay my losses in FTX.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So I don't disagree that Binance is a global monopoly. The over 70% of transactions globally from crypto happen and take place.
Is that because they don't have options though?
But that doesn't not make them a monopoly, right? I mean, you look at the airlines, for example. If you want to buy an airplane, if you're an airline company, you got two choices. It's Airbus and Boeing. That's it, period, done. Because that's all that exists. That's what we would call a duopoly, because those are the only two companies you have to choose from. And they know that, so they'll take their sweet ass time on deliveries and everything else, make whatever excuses they need to, because you're going to pay them no matter what. And so I think that there is some truth to that, and there is some risk in having Binance be so large. It's just that we're fortunate enough to have somebody like CZ who isn't trying to fuck anybody over at the helm. So there is risk involved in that. So I don't disagree with that. The one thing that I just wholeheartedly disagree with is the fact that Binance was the reason that FTX went bankrupt. They weren't the reason. He was just CZ was more or less a linchpin that just kind of revealed what exactly what was going on and the actual criminal activity that was taking place. So
Binance triggered it, yeah.
Yeah. So is Binance a global monopoly? I think that there is some truth to that, but it's not because it's by choice. It's because that's just how the cookie crumbled. I don't think that CZ looked at this as an opportunity to just take more market share. It was more or less an opportunity of being like, hey guys, some bad shit's happening and people need to see this. I think that's really what it came down to.
I mean, the exact definition of monopoly though is exclusive ownership through legal privilege, command of supply, or concerted action. So I don't think they have exclusive, but they do have majority. So it's not functionally a precise definition of monopoly, but they are a big dog that owns a good 80% of the supply. I agree.
Is it safe to say that if Binance went bankrupt, that other than perhaps Bitcoin going under, that is catastrophic for all the crypto?
For unsophisticated investors who don't know better, yeah, they'll throw the baby out with the bathwater. But that's why it's so important, for groups like DCTV, for example, to be talking about the fundamentals of why cryptocurrency is actually different than other assets, and why it's important for people to value decentralized power as opposed to centralized, CEO power. So like FTT token had a CEO, right? Mm-hmm. If it has a CEO, it means it's centralized. It's not decentralized. So it has no value markers of a decentralized system. There's a difference between a distributed system and a decentralized system. Distributed is like AWS. Like, yeah, you can have servers all over the place, but if Amazon wanted to, Amazon could still take it out, right? They probably won't, but they totally could, right? And we saw even too during certain political races, some servers for businesses like what was it? It was Parler. They were on AWS and they got taken down during all the presidential race in the U.S. So those things can happen in distributed systems, and so it's really, really important, to pay attention to the fact that decentralization is a unique quality that most things don't have. And so for things like Bitcoin that actually are truly decentralized systems, not distributed systems, there's no CEO, there's no linchpin that can make the thing tip over. There's no guy who can be like, sorry, you said the wrong thing, you can't participate with us, right?
Yeah. Can we live in a world without centralized exchanges?
Yeah. 100%.
Because like if from a peer-to-peer standpoint, if I want to send Bitcoin to somebody, I need a centralized exchange to do that, correct?
No, you can use a decentralized exchange. There's all sorts of decentralized exchanges where you're basically able to put your money into a smart contract pool, and it will find room in another pool and pay you the equivalent on that smart contract. So there are systems. They're being matured right now, and so once we've done kind of a review,
90% of everybody when you said that, though. You can put a smart contract in a pool and it'll play with the tadpoles in the other pool, and then that's...
I get you. No, I agree. We're exactly at that point in crypto right now. We're at the point where we have experiments that have proven solutions to some of these very, very big adoption problems, and we have to just make the end user experience awesome. We have to make it so that grandma can use this and not be scratching her head the whole time.
I think people are kind of dumb, though.
They're
not in a defensive way. I think they just the centralized part is just what keeps the herd going. Like, it just keeps the pack rolling that direction. People would be lost if they didn't have someone telling them what to do. Which kind of sounds like if you remember from the Avengers. Remember Loki just saying like people need direction, they need a king.
Yeah,
people just really can't. People really struggle thinking for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, where there's no vision, the people perish, right? That's a Davidian proverb. So like that principle is true, and that's why like me and my peers have an onus to actually do testing and show people like what's possible and how to do it and why this is a better way to do things than this other way. And I think this next year we'll see a lot of big movements into like the improvement of the whole system, because this whole FTX nonsense has really burned people, right? A lot of people are really burned and realizing like, oh wait, I can actually have my cryptocurrency in a place where no one else can touch it. I didn't know that. I thought you just go on Coinbase and buy it. Like they really didn't understand that there's another path to cryptocurrency, and like the intended use case is for you to be in self-custody, not to have a middleman, right?
Right.
And so right now we're using cryptocurrency in a way that defies any of its benefits.
Yeah.
The whole benefit is self-ownership, right?
So yes, I agree with that. And I'm just trying to like make sure everybody understands. I'm not trying to say that Binance is a 100% by definition monopoly, but I think you can't look at it and think to yourself, well, if Binance goes away, then I'll be fine, right? Like I think that there's going to be a huge reckoning or a huge problem, especially let's just say like now Binance and CZ is the most powerful man in cryptocurrency, period. And if he wanted to, he could put a lot of these other companies out of business if he wanted to as well. Centralized exchanges. And so that's what I'm trying to like get at, the influence that he has and the power that he has makes it dangerous for the everyday person. Is that fair to say? Whether or not, no matter how we feel about CC and the kind of person he is, it could potentially be dangerous.
I don't know. How would it be dangerous? What if because he has too much control? If they
Correct.
shut down,
correct, he could, yeah. I mean, he could do essentially whatever he wanted.
That just gives
if he went bull in a China shop mode, he could mess a lot of seemingly stable institutions up.
Correct.
But that's actually potentially even a good thing, because from my perspective at least, showing a fake to be a fake is fine, right? I think during bear markets, that's when you need to see things fail if they shouldn't be there for the bull market, right? Like I can tell you from our last bear market, we had so many projects on like coinmarketcap.com that were just trash ICO tokens. Like they actually had no product other than a website and some crappy Ethereum ERC20 token, right?
Yeah.
They had no intentions of actually fulfilling the roadmaps, and they didn't, right? That this has already happened in a ton of those companies that people were like, yeah, I think this is a really good project. They're gone. They don't exist anymore. They cashed out their money. Good job paying them, and they found something else to do. Probably doing something scammy again, like so that's just why like people have to do due diligence on what they support, and it's really easy to hop on a hype train, but like make them prove it to you before you put your money in an asset, right?
Yeah. Well, and doesn't regulation solve that though?
Does it, or does it give the government a cut of a scam?
It depends, I guess. It depends on how the regulation's carried out, and that's going to be a topic of discussion next week as we get into some of the things that Elizabeth Warren has been getting up to. So, but there has to be. It can't live as if it's the Wild West forever, or can it?
No.
Decentralization certainly can. There's no middleman. Why should there be a middleman? By its very architecture, there shouldn't be a middleman, and so regulation says there should be. And so you're running into a philosophical question of should there be a middleman or not? If there is a middleman, and the government can tell you can't or can't do something, that goes against the very principles that Bitcoin put forth of decentralized pseudo anonymity, right?
Yeah, that middleman. It comes with pros and cons, though.
Yeah.
One, it can protect some people, but if it gets abused, then it can be used to hurt them.
Right.
Is he deep in thought right now?
What's that?
I said, is Dad Lord just deep in thought right now?
No, I was just reading chat.
Okay.
Our community is hilarious.
That's good. Because I think we can live without it. It would take a while. It would take probably a generation for everyone to figure out people are just now giving up their checkbook. So I can only imagine when we talk about smart contracts and liquidity pools, that like old people they still have never touched a Game Boy.
Yeah, that was only to answer the mechanisms of how it works, right? If you were to tell grandma that her credit card has a SQL database under the hood, and she doesn't know what that is, but it does. It does have that under the hood. That's how it works, right?
Right.
It's literally just a SQL database that says this credit card belongs to this identity, and the current balance is this, and the total available credit is this. Like it's just a spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
And it gets updated when there's a transaction. That's all that's happening. Yeah. And so instead of a SQL database that some database admin can literally go in and just change the details for, like there's nothing stopping him. A blockchain is a different type of database where there's no central person who can, if it is a properly decentralized blockchain, no one person can go in and just be like, Brad now has $100,000 of available credit. Good job, Brad. In a properly decentralized blockchain database, you can't do that. It would require many, many, many actors on the network to say the same thing in order to make it go into effect, right?
Yeah.
That's what a 51% attack is, right? Where you have 51% of the Bitcoin network saying, Brandon didn't send Brad that money. He sent Don that money because Don's a dirty hacker. And so Don got 51% of the whole hash rate on the network to say that happened, right? Like that's the type of sophistication required on a blockchain. And so that's why, like, this is a different type of system. People don't quite comprehend the value proposition, I think.
It's needed because I'm the only one that can bring Elon down. So that's why I will take over 51%.
Wow.
Just trying to continue the story. That's all.
Yeah.
He's a Dogecoin hacker, huh?
Right. Yeah. Good stuff, guys. So we'll continue this conversation as well. If you guys want to keep having this conversation, make sure you go check us out in Discord down below. It's absolutely free to just join our community and help us grow that in that way. Also, if you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up if you're watching and enjoying the stream so far, we certainly would appreciate it. And let's go ahead and get into this next topic. And this is actually one that's a bit close to home for me because not that I was directly involved with it, but I actually interacted with these people on a fairly regular basis. And this just goes to prove that after looking at the FTX scam for what it is, and hearing some politicians during the congressional hearings talk about how crypto is just a scam and it lends itself to money laundering and all kinds of other crime, it just goes to show that that still happens in traditional finance too. And this is what's going on. If you guys are with Don or myself, you probably have seen this, or maybe you might have seen it regardless. But 8 men were indicted for $114 million securities fraud scheme orchestrated through social media. And I actually interacted pretty regularly with one of these guys and was on their Twitter Spaces speaking many times as well, just not really involved in what they were up to, but just like I felt like I was dangerously close to this just because I talked to these people, but I had no idea exactly the gravity or what exactly they were doing. But they were purposely and deliberately pumping up stocks just so they could dump on their followers and actually bragging about it, which is absolutely insane. You guys might know the Twitter followers or the Twitter accounts as Zach Morris. Edward Constantine is the man behind that, and I would say he was probably the ringleader of all of this. You guys also may recognize Laid Back as well on Twitter, and he was another one that was heavily involved here, as well as others. PJ Metlack, the Atlas Group is what they ended up calling themselves. They were on a Discord. I was actually in their Discord as well. And yesterday, looks as if the SEC took the entire thing down as far as their Discord was concerned. They had over a quarter, I believe it was 250,000 or close to 250,000 followers in that Discord group. I believe it was around 200K, somewhere around that number. So it was a giant Discord group, and they literally would pump up stocks just to sell them into their followers. They would front load them, tweet something out that was actually deceptive, and then ended up selling into the run, which is illegal. You can't do that. And so I wanted to get some of your initial thoughts on this, guys, and we'll go into a little bit of what exactly they were saying and doing specifically on a particular set of stocks.
Which one were you following?
Laid Back.
Laid Back.
He and I actually interacted quite a bit on Twitter, and I was in his spaces, on a fairly regular basis, just talking about the stock market in general. Nothing in particular on specific stocks, but I would just pop in every once in a while, and he would, allow me to speak on his spaces or what have you. But,
did you ever get like a fruit basket or anything?
No, we weren't that close in that regard. It's just that when all this came out, I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe it. Like this is how deep this goes. $114 million is a shit ton of money.
That's rough, man.
Yeah, I knew this was like I'm about to scroll through my texts because my buddy was telling me to follow Zach Morris, and you could see when a tweet would come out. This was right when I was new to Twitter. He showed me how to turn on notifications. It was just for Zach Morris. So the tweet would come out, and you'd watch that ticker go up and come right back down. And I said that they're literally pumping it and they're selling it. And he goes, no, you just gotta wait a little bit because it'll run up. I said, no, they're selling all their shares to you. So I literally explained to him what a pump and dump is. Yeah. But I was actually floored when I found out it was I thought it was $114 million.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is from the Department of Justice.
We're in the wrong business. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually getting ready to look at it. HMNY.
Right.
How many people want to buy it?
Is that technically even a business, though, just to screw people? I don't know. Well, a business means you're providing a good or a service. They are doing neither.
Yeah. So I actually put this in my personal Discord, in my own the Chaos Discord, my community, over a year ago. So this has been going on since 2020.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when things were going crazy in the market overall, everybody was throwing money at everything. And I actually put this out on my Twitter too, but this was September 21st of 21. So over a year ago. And this is talking about CEI, one of the stocks that they were pumping. And I said, good for those who got in, but it's hardly hard for me to really see the value here. And there was absolutely nothing going on with the stock, legitimately nothing. And I said, outside of Zach Morris bought it, was you can tell that my sentiments about him in the Atlas Group in general, even back then, it said that dude's going to get himself in trouble one day. Sure enough, he did.
Wow.
So this is something that I certainly saw coming, but you know, I guess maybe because I, you know, interacted with Layback so much, I didn't realize that it was like to this degree, and it was to the point to where some of these guys were actually proud of the fact that they were robbing people of their money, and they like actually on record talking about it.
Yeah, well, they didn't know they were on record.
No, they didn't. But I'm saying like there's evidence.
That's the best part.
There's evidence of this that they were actually talking about. You can here's a couple of excerpts from the U.S. course. This is from Texas. The indictment here. Some of the comments that were being made from all 8 of these guys. Tommy Cooperman says, hope everyone banked on this one, did exactly what I said, yada, yada, yada. Didn't want just to keep talking about it, which is hilarious because a lot of these guys, there's literally record of them tweeting that they're going to be holding overnight, and they would sell. They would sell minutes later. Yes, let's zoom in here a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Reminds me of Hot Rod. You know, he's all like, but I thought I was too legit to quit, but I'm not legit. I must quit. That's exactly like the energy I'm getting from these guys.
Yeah.
The whole we're robbing from idiots and it's their voices. Like there's no case of someone else was using my keyboard and typing all that. Nope. They literally are Discord voice chat saying all this crap too.
It's wireless. He took it from me. I don't know.
Yeah, and they would talk about how, you know, if a stock came down or what have you, how they were taking losses and what have you. They didn't take one loss, not one. According to this document, they didn't take one.
Yeah, these guys are garbage.
It's just
do your own research is the takeaway from this, right? Like, what accreditation do these guys have whatsoever? Like to just be like, yeah, we're experts. You should do this. Like, can you speak to that? Do they have any like qualifications that made them stand out?
What do you want me to scroll up to?
Oh, you're almost there. There you go. There's your. You want to know your accreditation right there? There's one picture.
Lambo.
Scroll back up. I saw a McLaren in there.
Yeah.
You want to know how good someone is? They'll post a car they drive.
Nice. Right. Car they rent. Very cool.
Here's some of the comments that were made on voice chat. Says the less I mention a stock, the less likely I get involved whenever Atlas is a class action fucking lawsuits. I'm playing this extremely smart for my very long term. If you don't think all these fuckers go to jail or at least get sued, you are crazy. This is coming from one of the guys that was actually in the group. He has also been arrested, by the way. And so another thing that was mentioned here to what you were talking about, Don, says we're robbing fucking idiots of their money. And then Cooperman says that it's so funny because I can see the timeline of these. Like I get the ticker, I send it to Dan, who was part of the group as well. And I know Dan's on voice. Dan tells you guys, I see it go up more. And like they were literally just talking about this pump and not really hiding it all that much. They were actually kind of bragging about it. And there's multiple tweets from Zach Morris and even laid back, just kind of like literally giving the middle finger to the SEC and almost just asking for this, which is pretty wild.
Yeah,
that's absolutely ridiculous. So people keep asking about Ross Cameron in the chat. I do just want to say it's very illegal to be lying to people. I don't think Ross is. Ross has already had this scuffle with the SEC because he was actually a part of who was the other group that the SEC threw the hammer at.
There's multiple ones, but
yeah, Ross was connected with them so if you guys check it out, Ross deleted so many tweets, deleted a bunch of YouTube videos. We did go silent there for a little bit. Which, if you're out there scamming people, by the way, guys, it's on the Discord and YouTube servers. You can delete it. It's still there. They're still gonna get it. It still showed up in court. So get your case ready. But yeah, Ross did already go through all this. I don't think Ross. I think Ross is out of the picture now. It's hard for people like Ross to lose, and it's hard for people if you have a following, it's very hard for you to lose on these pump and dumps. Because you can literally just say, hey, I'm buying, and you can be honest. You can buy right then and there. By the time I tell you on YouTube, I've already said this in real life. It's been a minute by the time you're actually hearing it over your computer. My order is filled. A couple other buyers might have come in, and then you guys all flood in, so it shoots up 100%. And then I say, that's my price target. I want to go ahead and sell. So I sell. My order is filling into strength as you guys are hearing the recording over YouTube. So just that delay alone can you can actually do this profitably, which is not illegal to do as far as that. Well, it's in that gray area where you can do it because while you might think that's a very obvious pump and dump, it's not. You're just sharing what you're doing, and it just happened to pan out that way.
And there is a gray area, right? Like you could say all of the things, all of the right things, don't buy this because I'm buying it, and people are still going to buy it. That's just the nature of the beast. But you at least covered your ass in that way. This is completely different in that, they literally bought this knowing that people were going to buy it, and so that they ended up dumping it right into the tweets that we're making. And I'm talking minutes here. Like they would talk about a stock that they ended up buying that they already front loaded, tweet it out, and 3 to 4 minutes later they would already sell it. Like they would, and I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in each trade. Some of them even in upwards of $1 million.
Anyone in this chat and in this stream could be the lawyer bringing this to the judge and win this case. Like that's the blatant just fraud and lying that we have here. This is a very clear cut case. I hope they do get the book thrown at them because I know the SEC is looking to make a couple examples. If they make an example out of somebody, it kind of scares the little ones away. And I hope these guys, they do just get raked over the coals, especially after finding out it's $114 million. Not in the billions like FTX, but still, that's a lot of money from penny crap. And if you're following anybody that's pumping just bullshit, just know that they might even be right. They might have that McLaren just because what they were doing was honest, but they were still playing a game of hot potato. You signed up. But imagine playing hot potato in a circle. Everyone's blindfolded but one person, right? Like that's the winner. The leader is going to be the winner of that one.
Here's the crazy part. Like the SEC, and we'll get into probably more conversations about this, but the level of investigation that the SEC carried out on this is actually quite crazy. They have record of all of their tweets and line them up with the actual trades they made. So here's one example. Zach Morris told his followers that he believed the price of CEI shares would exceed $10 per share. Quote saying that it will be another monster $10 plus. And he would sell the CEI shares at $10 to $20 per share. That's not where, and that he told his followers that's where he was going to sell. On October 5th, that was on October 1st. On October 5th, 2021, he reiterated on Twitter his $10 price target for CEI shares. About a half hour later, he sold all 2 million shares he owned, including the 2 million shares that he purchased on September 1st, for an average price of $261. Between September 1st and 2021, of 2021 and October 5th of 2021, Constantine made approximately $4.3 million, while Laidback made $250,000 buying and selling the CEI stock. So you were deliberately telling people that you were going to hang on to it, knowing that you were going to sell it. And I think that's the major difference right here, right? I mean, like it's not that they made a wrong decision by saying they were going to buy it and then they were just wrong about where the stock was going. It was that they bought it knowing they were going to sell into their followers, and like they just laughed about it and they thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
That's That to me is the difference here. I think that, the SEC certainly has gone after their fair share of influencers for many reasons, but like this one seems to be pretty cut and dry because of the actual intent of what was going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's the big difference.
Yeah, they literally set out to. They probably didn't see it as take your money. They think they found a glitch. This is how supply and demand works, right? More buyers, it goes up. More sellers, it goes down. And this is what market movers do all the time. It's how they take retail money, like in the investment world. Run a stop hunt, throw in an order. Essentially, that's them putting out a tweet, which sends it somewhere, creates that excitement, and they can sell into that strength. But if you were to look at it at that angle, they got more money. They can afford better lawyers.
Yeah.
Billions.
Tyler asks a good question. Says, so how is this Twitter pumping different than the YouTube delay thing you described a minute ago? It seems like it's illegal on Twitter, but gray area if it's on YouTube. No, I think it's a gray area because you are an influencer, right? Like, I think it's just a gray area because if you're talking about whatever it is that you're buying and selling and you're just putting it out there in the public, that in and of itself is not illegal. I think what they were doing, and it just goes back to the intent conversation, makes it illegal. There's still a lag there in general, but people always say, what if you go live on YouTube? That's just the fastest way you'll hear it. Like, you can watch, I can tweet something. You can just sit there and click refresh. You can just keep waiting for that tweet to come across. I'd have an even better chance on Twitter. But typically that conversation usually runs into like, well, fine. If that's the case, why don't you go live and do it live for us? And then just that natural lag, it happens that fast. And then your money's gone. This sort of thing happens on CNBC or what have you as well. If you're watching a show on CNBC, somebody of influence talks about stocks that they're buying on there, you will instantly see that stock move up. The difference is that they're not, most of them, are holding on to those stocks for the long term, and they're pretty open and honest about that as well, for the most part. And so you see their trades, you can see what they're up to, what they're doing, and so. But in this situation, in this situation, it was more so of I'm literally buying this so I can sell it into my unsuspecting followers.
It's predatory and it's dishonest is the issue, right?
Yes.
So that's why we talk so much about do your own research. This is the type of homework you could easily find like, that's probably not a good investment, right?
Right.
As opposed to if you look into something and say, okay, these people have their blood, sweat, and tears and money locked into this. They are actually actively building on this thing. It doesn't just have a website. There's actually a GitHub, for example, and it has commits to it on a regular basis, and people can look at what those commits are and actually prove that there's like real software code or there's real buildings being built and being filled with ASIC miners, for example. Like there's things you can do to prove if something's a paper house of cards or if it actually is of substance. So I encourage everyone to actually do that level of homework before you start deciding what you're going to point your money at. Just because your buddy said, "No, dude, it's legit. It's too legit. You got to put your money there, bro. You're gonna make so much money." Because that's I think a lot of people got into crypto that way. Some homie of theirs is like, "Bro, so like I know I just sold you some super dank weed, but like you got to check out this NFT collection I just got, bro. I made like $4,000, bro. You gotta see this, bro. You gotta get a Bored Ape, bro. You gotta." It's so like that's literally how that marketing happened. That's pun intended, guerrilla marketing, right? So, don't fall for that kind of stuff. Do your homework. Like, and it's. I'm not saying you can't make money that way. I'm saying you don't have no guarantees you'll make money that way.
And it's very risky. So, anyways, guys, let us know what you think about those topics that we discussed today. If you want to continue those conversations, make sure you check out our Discord down below in the link in the description. It's absolutely free to join. Would love you guys to just hang out and chill there. And appreciate you guys watching today. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well and that notification bell, as we'll be back on Monday to do this all over again at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Talk about what's been going on over the weekend. But we can't leave today without going over our birthdays. Sarah Paulson is 47. Sorry. Pope Francis is 85. Manny Pacquiao 43. And we also have Duff Goldman is 47. And we also I missed out on the other birthdays, so we'll have to make up for it on Monday. But those are your birthdays, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on Monday. Until then, keep calm and hodl on.
Happy holidays.
Have a good one.